Hello, year ones, and welcome to your second session of maths for this week. We'll still be continuing our learning all about division. Today, we're going to be able to understand how to divide by sharing equally. We're going to be able to determine how many objects will be in each group. Yesterday, we already knew how many things were in each group, and what we didn't know was how many groups we would have. But today we are sharing. That means we do know how many groups we have, but we're not sure how many things go into each group. Let's investigate to see what this means. Now, Sally and John have some sweets here, and they would like to share their sweets. So we're going to think about how they can do it. Well, I know. I'm just going to give these sweets to Sally. I'm going to give these sweets to John. I've shared the sweets. They both have some. Are you happy with what I've done? Perhaps you could pause the video here and talk to an adult about what you think. Now, if we look at how I have shared the sweets, I haven't shared them equally. I have shared them unequally. Poor Sally. She's only got 3 sweets. But John, he has quite a few more. He's got 9 sweets. Is this fair at the moment? No. Okay, I'll put them all back. So, I need to make sure I share the sweets equally. We would like Sally and John to have the same amount of sweets. One way I could do this is to give 1 sweet to Sally, then 1 sweet to John. 1 sweet to Sally, 1 sweet to John until I run out. 1, 1. 1 for Sally, 1 for John. 1 for Sally, 1 more for John. Let's keep going. 1 sweet for Sally, 1 sweet for John. Another for Sally, another for John. Here's 1 for Sally and the last one's for John. Do they have equal amounts? Yes, they do. I have shared them equally. How many sweets do they each get? Well, they each have 6 sweets. That method took me a little bit of time to do. When we are sharing equally, sometimes we can see how to do this, especially when we're sharing into 2. I wonder if you could see a quicker way I could have shared them into 2 by looking at the array of sweets on the board. Pause the video and speak to an adult. Can you see another way I could have done that much quicker? Looking at the board and on the screen, I can see I have an array of sweets. It looks like to me they are organised very neatly. I can see there are 3, 6, 9, 12 sweets altogether. Well, I already know that half of 12 is 6. But I can also see that if I were to draw a line straight down the middle, that both halves look the same. So I also could have shared the sweets very quickly by looking at the array, splitting it down the middle and giving each child their 6 sweets. It depends how well you know your number facts and what patterns you can notice. Either way, we still found the same answer. we can record this as a number sentence. We can say that 12 divided by 2, that means 12 shared by 2 people, gives us 6 sweets each. Yesterday, this meant grouped into a certain amount. Today, it means shared between so many groups. 12 divided by 2 gives us 6. There were 12 sweets altogether. If you share them equally between 2 people, they each get 6 sweets. Can you have a go at sharing these cookies between 3 children? You might want to use objects to represent your cookies. To be able to do this, you need to think about these 3 questions to help you work systematically. That means in a sensible order. First, you need to know, how many cookies are there altogether? How many groups are you sharing the cookies into? The groups this time would be the children's plates. How many cookies will each child get? You might want to share them one at a time to each plate, like I did with the sweets. Or maybe you've been a noticing bush baby and you can already see how these cookies can be shared quickly. Pause the video and have a go at sharing these at home. Now I wonder, can you see how we could divide the cookies up really quickly just by looking at that picture? It looks a little bit like those pictures did yesterday because they are arranged into arrays. Now my friend said circling rows might be helpful to solve this problem. If I were to go and circle a row of cookies, one at a time, I can see I have 1, 2, 3 rows. Now we know in an array that each of the rows have an equal amount of things in them. There are 3 rows and there are 1, 2, 3 children. So each child really needs to receive 1 row of cookies. So straight away we can see really easily that if we share these 15 cookies between the children, they should each get 5 cookies on their plate. We can see that 15 cookies shared between 3 children will give them 5 cookies each. For today's learning, you can see that you can look at the arrays and notice how many things are in each row to know how many things belong in each group. For your independent learning today, you are going to be looking at sharing the items. They would like to know how many things there are altogether, how many groups there are, and then how many things are in each group. I would suggest, if it's easier, that for each question you start with the bottom sentence and work your way up so that you're not tempted to count the items one by one. Otherwise, you could just work from top to bottom. So here, I can see these are in 5s. So there must be 5, 10, 15 toys altogether. There are 15 toys altogether. There are how many shelves? Well, I can see there's 1, to 3 shelves. The shelves are the groups, so I'd need to put a 3 in this box. Then it says there are how many toys on each shelf? Well, I can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toys on each shelf. So there are 15 toys altogether. There are 3 shelves. There are 5 toys on each shelf. You need to fill in the boxes with the missing numbers for each of the questions. You can use the pictures to help you. How many apples are there altogether? How many trees are there? How many apples are in each tree? And you're doing the same on this page. Looking at the fish in the bowls and the pencils in their pots. You'll see the total has been shared into equal groups. For the second part of the worksheet, you have to draw the pictures to complete the sharing process. So they had these donuts to begin with, there were 6 of them, and they want to share them equally into 2 boxes. You can see they gave 1 to this tray, 1 to that tray. Can you finish sharing the other 4 donuts onto the trays? How many will go into each box? Again, on the second part, they have some cookies. They've already shared 5 cookies into each container. Can you help share the rest of them into the containers? How many cookies go into each jar? You then need to have a go at sharing the items on the final pages. There are some word problems for you to apply your learning. Have a go at sharing those items into equal groups and then send any of your learning to us at the Key Stage 1 email address. But if you'd like to challenge yourself further, I have some extension challenges for you today. Here is your first extension activity. There are 10 cakes and 2 boxes. An equal amount needs to be put into each box. Jack says, to do this, you need to put them into groups of 2. But Eva says, no, you need to share them into groups of 2. Who do you think is correct? Can you explain your answer? So there are 10 cakes and 2 boxes. We need to put the same amount into each box. Is it a grouping problem like Jack, where we know how many go into each box? Or is it a sharing problem like Eva's saying, where we're not quite sure and we need to share them equally? Talk about this and explore it at home. Your second extension is to see how many different ways you can share the number 10 into equal groups. Now, Dora has 10 biscuits. She wants to share them equally at her party. How many people could be at the party? Can you find all the ways for sharing the biscuits? I wonder if you could work systematically. And I've given you a clue as to what this means. This means start with one group. If you only have one group, how many biscuits would go in there to use up all 10? Then, what if you had 2 groups? Can you share 10 into 2 groups? Then you could continue to see if you can share it into 3 groups, 4 groups, 5 groups, and so on. I wonder what you might find out. So I hope you enjoy your maths learning today. Hopefully you enjoyed working on the challenges and you can see how sharing is a little bit different to grouping. Either way, it doesn't matter which strategy we use, we still get the same answer. Please send any of your learning to us at the Key Stage 1 email address if you're particularly proud, so we can have a look at it. Once you have finished this learning, enjoy the rest of your day, and then there will be an activity for you to try on the home learning page for later in the week. We hope to see you again soon, but until next time, take care. Goodbye.